Imagine being so talented that you have been asked to perform in some of the most prestigious venues in America. You have honed your craft such so that by the age of 16, your first debut was with the Boston Pops. There's only one problem. You're a black man, and the year is 1960. Now you've been asked to travel America, the Deep South, where a black man can be hung if he's found after dark. 60 years later, when the movie The Green Book was made, and America still has a race problem. We've just manifest our racism in different manners. We're no longer lynching black men on the town square. We are racial profiling them. We have massive incarceration, police brutality. Just some examples. Now, the movie Green Book is loosely based on a story of Dr. Don Shirley, who is a Jamaican African American who is a pianist and a composer, and his friend, driver, Tony Vallalino, they call him Tony Lip. He's going to be his driver, and he has to take him down through the Deep South. He chooses Tony Lip because he was a bouncer at the Copacabana in New York. Tough, rough around the edges. And Dr. Shirley knows he needs a tough guy because Nat King Cole was also asked to play in front of a white audience. While Nat King Cole was in Birmingham, Alabama, on stage, he was drug off by 4 white men, beaten brutally. The 4 white men were initially charged with offense of commit murder. Those charges were later dropped to conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor. The title of the movie, Green Book, came from a pamphlet called The Negro's Green Book. It was a pamphlet to allow African Americans safe haven, restaurants, motels, places where they could go and be safe throughout the South America. It was later published internationally. At the same time that the Green Book was being published, there was a network of black-owned nightclubs, theaters, and juke joints. Some of the people that performed on this circuit, which was called the Chitlin Circuit, Otis Redding, Little Richard, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, and Tina Turner. One of the best well-known places was the Apollo Theater, Harlem, New York. One of the lesser-known ones is here in Macon, the Douglas Theater. That was on the circuit. These people were just like Dr. Shirley, talented entertainers just trying to make a living. Their only problem was the color of their skin and the texture of their hair. They had to face racism everywhere they went, sometimes possible death if found after dark. Now, Jan Miles is an African American writer, and after viewing the movie, The Green Book, she said it was a tremendous disservice. She hated it. She said, when you walked out of the theater, you thought racism had ended because the white man and the black man ended up as friends. Even though the Italian man saw a lot of the racism that Dr. Shirley had to put up with, he couldn't stay in the same hotel as the Italian man. He was not allowed to use the restroom at the places where he performed, and couldn't eat in the same restaurants. But at the end of the movie, after the road trip, they ended up sharing Christmas dinner together. So, Jan Miles, the writer, in 2017, she wrote a book called The Post-Racism Negro Handbook. And in this book, she gathers statistics from all 50 states from 2013 to 2016. Give you a couple examples. July 2014, Eric Gardner, sitting in front of a store selling untaxed cigarettes. The police were called. Eric Gardner was placed in handcuffs. He was put in a chokehold. Chest was compressed for 9 minutes, which was videotaped. He was heard saying, "I cannot breathe," 11 times. Eric Gardner died. His death was deemed a homicide. It took 5 years for that officer to be fired and removed from his job. No charges were ever brought against that officer. 1 year later, Dylan Roof, June 15th, walked into a black church in Charleston, South Carolina. He walked into a Bible study class. 9 parishioners, ages 3 to 89, welcomed him in, and he sat with them for 1 hour and worshiped with them. Then he stood up and shot all 9 black parishioners for no reason but hatred alone. The colored restrooms, separate water fountains, and the rear seats in buses were a day of the past. Racism is still rampant in today's society. The Green Book portraying of the 1960s are all but gone. We've made great strides in 60 years. We all carry around wireless phones that act as personal computers. We have developed self-driving, self-parking cars. We have a social networking program that we can stand here in Macon, Georgia, and speak to someone in Japan. But what we have not figured out how to do is end racism.